The bells at St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans in 1850 are ringing again for the dead. Another body cart rumbles past your window, wheels grinding through mud thick with things you'd rather not think about. The driver doesn't bother covering the corpses anymore. There are too many, and besides, everyone's already seen worse. You press a cloth soaked in vinegar to your nose. The smell is everywhere. Rotting fish from the market, human waste flowing down the center of Bourbon Street. The sickly sweet stench of bodies decomposing in above-ground tombs that couldn't be sealed fast enough. And underneath it all, something else. Something wet and primordial. The swamp reminds you that this city was never meant to exist. Welcome to New Orleans, the wealthiest, deadliest, most intoxicating gamble in America. And you? You just woke up here. The question isn't whether you'll survive. It's how long before the city decides you won't. Today you step outside onto Rue Royale. The first thing that hits you isn't the noise. An enslaved man is screaming as an overseer beats him in the street. Nobody stops. 3 doors down, a woman in scarlet leans from a balcony, her rouge running, calling to sailors stumbling from the docks. A vendor hawks oysters, his accent impossible to place. 2 gentlemen in top hats step over a dead dog without breaking conversation. As you cut through Jackson Square and pass the slave auction at the St. Louis Hotel, today they're selling a family. The auctioneer is efficient, cheerful, even. The children are crying. The mother isn't. She stopped hours ago. A man in linen bids $1,200 for the father. Someone else offers $900 for the mother. The children? Sold separately. Always separately. Behind you, a vendor sells sugared pecans. The contrast makes you dizzy. The fortune you see in the Garden District mansions, the champagne flowing in the parlors of Creole society, all of it runs on human suffering measured in pounds of cotton and barrels of sugar. In the parishes surrounding New Orleans, enslaved people are dying faster than they're being born. The work in the cane fields is so brutal that Louisiana needs a constant supply of fresh bodies to replace the ones ground to nothing. You want to look away, but you can't. Because in 1850s New Orleans, this is commerce. This is Tuesday. The afternoon brings rain, sudden, violent, biblical. Within minutes, the unpaved streets transform into rivers of sewage. You watch a chamber pot's contents wash past your feet. A dead rat floats by, swollen to twice its size. The gutters overflow with everything the city's 150,000 people produce and discard. Your clothes are soaked through. The humidity never lets them dry. This constant moisture breeds mold in your walls, rot in your floorboards, and something far worse in the standing water collecting in every courtyard, every cistern, every decorative fountain in the city. Mosquitoes. You notice them everywhere now. They billowed up from puddles, rain barrels, and the graceful water features of Creole courtyards. They swarm in such numbers that locals joke about them carrying off small dogs. You swat 12 from your arm in one motion. One of them will kill you. You just don't feel it yet. By evening, you're invited to cards on Bourbon Street. A cotton broker named Lafayette has rented the second floor of a coffee house. Inside, cigar smoke, cologne. Men in embroidered waistcoats around green felt tables, gold coins clicking. In the corner, a piano plays something mournful, music that will someday be called jazz. A woman appears at your elbow. Amelie. Stunning. She asks if you'd like company. You realize this isn't just a coffee house. Before Storyville makes it official, prostitution exists everywhere and nowhere. When fog rolls in, neighborhoods glow red from lanterns in brothel windows. Lafayette loses $300 and doesn't flinch. Someone toasts, "The greatest city God ever drowned." Everyone drinks. You wake the next morning with a headache and something worse. A fever. It starts behind your eyes, a pressure that builds until you're sensitive to light. Your muscles ache. When you try to stand, the room tilts. Not now, you think. Not me. But yellow fever doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't matter that you've only been in the city 3 weeks. It doesn't care that you came here to make your fortune, that you left everything behind in Virginia for this chance. You vomit. Once, twice, 10 times until there's nothing left. The landlady hears you through the thin walls and doesn't come to help. She's seen this before. She hangs a yellow scrap of cloth outside your door, a warning to others, a funeral flag for the living. For 3 days you burn. The fever spikes to 104, then 105. Your skin turns the color of old parchment. You bleed from your gums when you brush your teeth. The sheets are soaked through with sweat that smells like something dying. On the 4th day, you vomit blood. Thick, dark, coffee ground clots that tell you your liver is failing. This is vomito negro, the Spanish phrase for black vomit. Everyone in New Orleans knows what it means. You're going to die. You may die. You may survive and become immune. A doctor comes because the landlady insists. Bad for business to have corpses in the rooms. He examines you for 30 seconds and prescribes bloodletting. He opens a vein and drains a pint of blood from your arm, weakening you further. He gives you mercury pills that burn your throat. Then he leaves. You survive the night, barely, then the next, then the next. On the 7th day, the fever breaks. You're alive. 40% of people who got what you got are dead, but you survived. And now, you're acclimated. You have the invisible armor that separates New Orleans society into 2 castes. Those who've earned their immunity in blood, and those walking corpses waiting for summer to claim them. You can work anywhere now. You can stay through August, the deadliest month, and command triple wages because every stranger without immunity has fled upriver. You're marriageable. You're valuable. You bought your place in this city with suffering. Welcome to the club. 6 months have passed. You've made money. You've learned which streets to avoid. All of them, but especially near the docks where Kaintucks spend their earnings on whiskey and violence. You've seen duels, murders, lynchings. You've stopped being shocked. You've learned that justice is whatever the mob decides, that police are bought and sold, that a man can kill in daylight and walk free with the right connections. You've learned New Orleans is beautiful and rotten, sophisticated and savage. October 1853. The fever returns. Not for you. You're immune. But for everyone else. By August, 200 people die daily. The city smells like death. Body carts run 24 hours. The Irish are dying fastest. Fresh off boats, no immunity, packed in slums. 1 in 5 will be dead by frost. You watch them load into carts, twisted and yellow and still. You're safe. But safety here always costs someone else. By 1880, you've seen the city change. The war came and went, burning the cotton wealth to ash. The French Opera House still stands, but half the boxes are empty now. The slave markets are closed, replaced by Jim Crow laws that do the same job with different words. You've buried friends, lovers, business partners. You've survived 7 more fever outbreaks. You've watched the city refuse to modernize. clinging to cisterns even as the city experimented with waterworks, trusting miasma theory instead of science. In 1905, they'll finally figure out the mosquitoes. They'll cover the cisterns, drain the standing water. The killing will stop. By then, tens of thousands are already dead. An entire city's worth of corpses sacrificed to ignorance and arrogance, and the conviction that New Orleans was too important, too beautiful, too special for nature's rules to apply. You walk through Jackson Square on your last day, watching the cathedral bells ring for someone else's funeral. The wrought iron balconies still drip with flowers. The smell of baking bread still drifts from the French market. Music still pours from open doors. New Orleans is still beautiful, still rotten, still the most magnificent disaster you've ever seen. When people talk about the romance of the Old South, about antebellum elegance and Creole charm, this is what sits beneath it. Bodies stacked in carts, children sold at auction, yellow flags on doorways, black vomit, mass graves in the swamp. This was the price of the paradise they admired. What it was really like to live in New Orleans in the 1800s. Lanterns flicker along Bourbon Street. Drums echo from the river. The city breathes and waits,